to the flag and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Dory.
Jeff. Here. Pittsburgh. Bacon.
Coming.
Reinhardt.
Here.
Copeland.
Here.
Howard. Here. Amber
Here.
Gilmore.
Here.
Haskell.
Here.
You have.
Everybody had a chance to review the agenda, and if there's no changes or comments, can I get a motion to accept it?
Make the motion to accept the agenda presented.
For all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. Got a chance to look at the minutes from the June 12th meeting. No comment, can I get a motion to accept those?
I'll make the motion to approve the Board of Commissioners minutes of June 12th.
Second. Got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? General public comment.
Morning,
Morning.
I'm Kim Canicat, you all know that. Here to talk here briefly about the airport, won't take up much of your time this morning. One, I want to thank everyone for your support last month on the airport, the runway repairs and the grant money that was approved. Well, thank you for that. The only other thing that I have is that I had requested last month a resolution for airport support for funding to meet current FAA licensing standards. And if I need to put that in writing and submit it, I'd like to see it move on for your folks' consideration. Yeah, it's something, do I need just to put it in writing, submit it, or what?
What do you mean airport resolution?
Well, I would like something from the County Board of Commissioners that is going to say that they're going to support their airport. Basically, a resolution that Clark County will maintain and fund its airport to current FAA licensing standards. So we don't run into one of these boondoggles like we did last time with the conditional license and all that. I just want something from the county that says, well, yes, we are going to financially support our airport, so it meets standards, so we don't run into things like this today. That's really all I'm looking for. And I'd be happy to put something in writing and submit it.
Why don't you wait down the road a little bit on that? We've got some discussion coming up on that,
Yeah,
and we got a budget coming up also, so
okay,
once that's done, then I think that'd be a good topic of discussion.
okay. I said I'd be happy to come to one of the meeting of the whole and submit it then or something for your consideration. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other public?
Howdy, my name is Nick Haley. I'm gonna be running for county commissioner for the 6th district. Be between Jack and myself on the August 6th ballot. Just wanted to introduce myself to folks. I used to live in the city of Harrison for the past 6-7 years, something like that. And then for the past 4 years, I was the city councilman over there. My family is now expanding, so we decided to move into a larger house. So we moved south into Hatton Township in April, and I wanted to stay involved with the local government. So I put myself on the ballot, and I hope to have people's votes for the District 6. Any questions?
Thanks, Nick. Thank you. Any other public? All right. Any questions, discussion on the communications list? You gotta go with Lori. Excuse me,
I'll go.
Lori.
Is Lori? You want to
Lori?
go? Yes.
Due to time constraints, we are going to do the clerk election reporting discussion now.
Back in March, I asked the Board of Commissioners to vote on and approve election night reporting software. I provided the contract to you then. There was one member missing. I don't recall which one it was, and the vote, I wasn't here, I was on vacation that month. And the vote was 4-4, so the vote failed to pass that software. I made a mistake, prior to that, which caused us to be obligated to that $5,000 fee, so I wanted to bring it to you. That's up to my mistake, and ask you to pay for the election night software this year, and then you can reconsider it next year and not fund it again. What happened was it was right before the February election. I asked Lori if she could approve that, or if it had to go before the board, and she said if it's in your budget, you can spend that, you have the money in your budget. As long as you can fund it, you can order it. So I ordered the software and then they sent the contract. I didn't realize there was going to be a contract. I can't sign a contract without board approval. So that's when I brought it to the board, and the board said, no. I talked to the vendor and said, my board said, no, I can't use the software. I didn't think any more about it. Well, then I received a bill in the mail, and I just last month. And so I called the vendor and said, we didn't use the software in February and my board didn't approve it. He said, well, you gave us the verbal go ahead. We did the work. We need payment. And this is Election Source, our election vendor. And I said, well, let me call the administrator and see what I can work out. So I called Lori and we agreed that we can't just pay it without the board knowing what happened. I said, please put me on the agenda so I can explain. It was a miscommunication on my part. I didn't realize there was a contract and didn't realize that it would, they were going to charge me for it anyway, because I did give the verbal okay to go ahead and start the work on it prior to getting work. So I talked to the vice president of the company and said, hey, I have to take it before the board. Is there any way I can get out of it? He indicated they actually pay a different vendor to do the work, so they actually paid money out. That's why he couldn't waive the fee to me. I do have the vendor. Is there a Jared on Zoom? Jody Jared from Election Source.
I
Jared with a
don't
G.
believe so, yeah.
He was going to do a small
Oh, right here.
presentation. If you'd like to see it, of the software and all of the things that it does. And I apologize for the miscommunication and the mistake. It was my fault for not digging in a little deeper and asking you to. It's the $5,000 setup fee and $1,500 for this year to use the product. Moving forward, we don't have to pay the $1,500 a year. We can cancel the contract and not move forward anymore, but we are obligated to pay them this year.
Or you do have this in your budget.
It is in my budget.
That's why we initially said, go ahead and do it. But then after that was done, they sent a contract, and we're like, oh wait, contracts have to go before the court.
Correct.
There's only certain contracts I can sign.
Do we need to hear what this is about?
There were 4 that voted no. I don't recall which 4. You would probably recall if you voted no on it. But did you have more questions? Jared is happy to explain it. There's a whole lot to the software. It's more than just election night reporting. It prints out all my certificates. It goes really in depth. The public he can show you better than I can tell you. I asked him to keep it to maybe 10 minutes, tops, not do the whole hour presentation. Would any of you like to see it or have questions
Well,
or comments?
Would we like to see it?
I think you explained it pretty good. You know, when we were discussing it and you brought it forward to the board. Good job there, but if anybody else would like to see it.
Well, the individuals online, maybe you can give us a spiel
Okay.
about from this point of view.
Jared, are you available?
I am. Can you guys hear me okay?
You need video.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay, am I able to share my screen?
You're on.
Looks like the host has to enable my screen share, but I'll go into a brief discussion here and I'll try to keep this short so you guys have a full agenda. But well, I'm Jared, the COO with Electrosource. I've been with the company for going on 12 years now, but I've been in elections for 17 and I worked for a county for 5 years up until about a year and a half ago. So I know the impact that election night has on a county clerk's office and the stresses involved with dealing with constituents, all the voters, campaigns, the media and whatnot. And that's really where this tool is an advantage for the county clerk's office. She can rely on this as a communication piece with everybody who's interested in the elections. It's as live of a report as you can possibly get in elections. It's not necessarily live, but it sort of simulates a live feed of all the results coming in. It's a matter of transferring a file over to a web host. But really, it's a good communication tool that relieves a lot of stress on election night, as far as phone calls go, different media, if they want to camp out in the lobby to get results. They don't really have to because they have this at their fingertips now on their cell phone or in their office, whatever they wish to view it as. The site is fully customizable. It's got options to add messages at the last minute. So if there's maybe a delay in a particular precinct that you want to report on, maybe there's some issues going on, you can use this website to also communicate, you know, the progress, whether it be good or bad, just to keep a full transparency for your public, so there aren't as many questions. In addition to that, there's customized features making it specific to Clare County if you want certain landmarks there, or you know, a picture of the county building, or however you want to display your county to make it your website. It is your own website. Some of the reporting details that we have, this is going kind of deep, but it is important. We have election day, absentee, and early voting now. So there's 3 different ways that results come in that can potentially get reported in their own way. Not a lot of the public understands how this works, but the website does a good job of reporting, hey, this precinct is all set for election day. We've received all the results, but we're waiting for maybe their absentee ballots, or maybe we're waiting for the early voting precinct to close up. It leaves the wonder out for the voter and for the candidates. They literally will sit there and watch this unfold before their eyes rather than making constant phone calls to the clerk's office to find out what's going on. There are many reports that you can download, you being the voter or the campaign, to see how your elections are shaken out. You can view historical data the same way. These are presented in different formats such as PDF, Excel, Excel with CSV. There's even a media export available for any of the local news agencies if they want to do this the easy way. There's a link for them just to download data that they can use for their own reporting on their website, rather than scraping the data and potentially making mistakes that way. This is a system that works directly with the media if that's something that your local news agencies are interested in. Some of the other advantages, I think I've already mentioned fewer calls. We did notice a drop in calls when we implemented this in the county that I worked for right away. It took maybe 1 or 2 elections for the public and the media and the campaigns to understand how we were going about our election reporting. But once it was out there, it was eerily quiet. We just had to do our regular work where we bring in the cards from the local townships and make sure everything's straight that way. We didn't have to be distracted with these phone calls. Hey, what's going on with this precinct? What time are these absentee ballots coming in? You know, how come this is at 0? That sort of thing. This fixes that. So obviously with that, it's gonna lower the pressure for Lori and her staff on election night. I felt it myself. It was a very useful tool when I was with Kent County for 5 years. And really, most of all, transparency. So we all know, after the 2020 elections, we have, sort of awakened to some of our processes, and this is a window into those processes. This shows you election day ballots. This shows you the absentee ballots as they're reported by precinct, and this shows you the early voting component as well. So it's very specific if the voter wants. It can be general as well. We don't have to go crazy and get into the weeds that way, but it's all there and it's intuitive. It's easy to use. Another advantage, there is a module that's optional here for the Canvas side of this, and me personally, I could have benefited from this part. We didn't have this feature built in when I was using it at Kent County, but had we had this feature, it would have saved me some cost and reputation and funds for running recounts, because we did make a few errors where we were hand entering information into some of our final certification reports used by the Canvas to certify your elections. When you're dealing with, for this election, you've got over 20 contests on the ballot. You have to hand type. The way Michigan law is set up, you have to hand type all of the election results by number. So you have to spell the number, you have to type the number, and then from there, you have to make the determination of who won and who lost. And you have to produce official documents for the archive signed off by the county canvassers and the county clerks, and that's the official record. And that's where I got in trouble a few times. We did do this incorrectly with an incredible load, but either way, this system prevents that by producing these documents for you, ready to go, ready for signatures. So there is no hand entering of that important information. Had I done that, I could have avoided some news coverage that wasn't really in my favor on mistakes that I made, not on election night, but more in the certification process. So it's not just election night, it's also post-election. The post-election process is critical in Michigan elections, and a lot of people don't give it the credit that it deserves. And this is a tool that works side by side with the county clerk to make sure we're not making these mistakes. As far as other customers we have, you do have, I would say, 7 neighboring counties that take advantage of this reporting website. We've got, not directly neighbors, but we've got Lake County, Osceola, Isabella, Midland, Gratiot, Saginaw, and Iosco. Those are all counties up in your region that have used this for years. And their constituents, voters, and campaigns and media are familiar with this process, and that's just what they've come to expect with election reporting in those counties. I can show you screenshots if I'm able to share my screen. Otherwise, I can take some questions too, or we can move on to the next agenda item.
I think you should have the ability to share your screen.
Okay, let's see what I can do now. Yeah, let me pull it up here. Can you see my screen? No, you can't yet, can you?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
You can see the reporting website?
yes.
Okay, good. Now, this is for a general election. Obviously, you guys are staring into the face of a primary. Generally the same concept though, but it's, pretty straightforward. We've got colors representing different parties. These colors are customizable, but they come standard the way you see it now. A general breakdown of the votes by percentage, what each candidate got. I'm trying to let me move some things around here so I can see all parts of this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute here. Give me a second. Okay. All right, this is what I wanted. Back to where I was. Okay, here's the website. Here's the public side of the website. So at the very top, we've got a picture of the Capitol. This is where your custom image would go, whether it be a landmark or you know, county seal or whatever you wish to place up there is your choice. This is all done on the backside on the county clerk's admin portion of this website. Nothing that we have to get into. This is all can change on the fly for Lori, whether it be in testing or on election night. And all these features that I'm going to go through are controlled on her side. So you see the blue box at the top. This is the general message that she can update as things go on. Let's just say, let's pretend somebody had a power outage at 7:45. Polls close at 8. We've got a long line now at 8 o'clock. She can add a message right there that says, hey, polls in this precinct have closed, but everybody in line is going to get a chance to vote. Please be patient while we process these voters and get you your election results. Whatever she wishes to do there, she can bold it, she can present it in italics, however she wants to present it. But you've got the general ballot statistics next below. You've got the counting groups on the left-hand side. That's your incoming ballots. So we can tell at a glance, if you have an absentee counting board holding up one precinct's election day, you can tell here that, oh, we're still waiting for some of those results to come in. So the way a precinct is reported, it's not 100% until all counting groups are essentially at the county. And counting groups are your election day, absentee, and early voting. This clears up a lot of confusion in itself. When I was working for a county, it was difficult to try to explain to people that we can't report 100% until, you know, A, B, or C comes in. This is where you would show that. You also have a breakdown of these precincts in the center, and you can break it down further by selecting the precinct reporting statuses. This shows you a report of every precinct within the county and where we're at. You can see that election nights is reported, but we're still waiting for absentees or say early voting. Next, we'll get into the individual results. This is really how you would imagine it. We go right from the top of the ballot down to the bottom. So here we have straight ticket, then governor, followed by Secretary of State. Now in this particular file, we have over 600 contest reports. So you guys wouldn't have this kind of a load, but even still, Clare County has a significant number. There's only certain ones that some constituents or some voters want to watch. So if I'm a voter and I'm interested in the Secretary of State contest, I'm going to follow it by marking the star. When I do that, I don't really care about all the other stuff. I don't want to see delegates for each precinct. I don't want to see the treasurer or whatever. I only have a certain amount of contests that I'm really watching here. So I've sorted that out by selecting my followed results. And I can see just those contests that I've selected. So right here, I have 3 contests that will constantly refresh for me, saving a lot of scrolling and refreshing from my window and that sort of thing. Each contest on the ballot you can view by precinct as well. So here I am in straight ticket contest. I'm going to view by results by precinct. And here we are. I can see each precinct, how they voted that particular contest. In addition to that, you don't see it on this map because we don't have a map built out for this particular election, but Clare County would be represented by the precincts that make it whole. So if I have a straight ticket contest pulled up, the map would be displayed right above that. So I could hover over each precinct within the county and see how each precinct went straight ticket or whatever the contest is that you've selected at that time. I don't want to go too much further on this. It's meant to be simple, this side of it. The admin side is very simple as well. It just offers, you know, more tools and more instruction for the user and more customization. But that's really it in a nutshell. Do you guys have any questions for me or want to focus on anything in particular?
I don't.
My question would be, if it requires a signed contract, why did you go ahead with it without the signatures on the contract? There shouldn't be
Yeah.
anything well until the contract was signed.
Yeah. I understand that for sure. You know, we deal with a lot of different customers and, as you know, 2024 is, I don't even know how to describe this year for county clerks. They're under immense pressure and sometimes we get good communication from our customers, sometimes we don't, but either way, Tuesday, election day is still there. So a lot of times we move forward with work just with verbals and with conversations with our customers. And if they're comfortable with doing that, that's what we do, just so we can get the work done. Because there is a significant build into the backside of this before we can release it for public viewing on election day. In this case, I mean, we had lots going on. Lori had a lot going on dealing with early voting changes, constitutional amendments, new legislation. This is a piece that we couldn't delay. We had to, you know, keep moving. If this is something that she desired for February, we couldn't waste a day. So verbal conversation was appropriate at that time. But that being said, we are kind of at a holding pattern here, and we don't have the new site for August primary set up for Clare County just yet. We are kind of holding here just to see what's going to happen at this meeting.
Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for the time.
And again, I apologize for the error and the miscommunication. There was an oversight. And I apologize. And I hope that you will revote and pass it.
Lori, I have one question. With this program, are any of the townships able to sign in and look at anything at all or have any kind of action with it?
To manipulate it? No.
No, just to look at it and see the results, or see the.
It's for the public, yes,
for-
yes,
for the-
on our website, and everything he showed you, the public can do.
Oh, okay,
This just allows them to see the results 10 hours before they're broadcast on the news.
It allows them to see it in real time. We upload it right as the results come in versus scanning documents. So right now, you have to click on, what do we have, 34 ballot styles. You have to, if you want to add it all up, you have to click on every ballot style and then write it down and add it up to see what the results are for each ballot style in the township. You've done it, I know, Dale, to get your results. The school, instead of doing that, the schools send representatives to every township to get the results each night versus waiting for all of that to upload and write everything down and tally it up. We get it quicker that way. This way, when we put the card in our EMS machine, it uploads their results. We have a USB in there that we transfer the results to the USB. And then Stacy will upload it right to our website, so it'll be significantly faster. And in the past, there have been errors with the news saying, not all of the precincts have reported. And then we get all these calls at the morning of, after election day saying, why didn't all the, who are we waiting on? No, everyone is reported. It eliminates a lot of miscommunication that way. Non-election night, Jared is right, we get tons of calls from the media, from candidates wanting updates, wanting to know the results, and it takes a lot of time to deal with that in addition to everything else moving on election night.
I know there's a lot of my constituents out there, this is something that they want. I actually would talk to anybody that didn't have it. So, and I know the last election, I feel a lot of calls. Others did, where's the result? Where's the result? I think it's a good thing.
And you can revisit it to, yes, you're paying the big chunk of the $5,000 setup fee now, and then it's only $1,500 a year thereafter.
Say that one more time, please.
It's a $5,000 setup fee and then $1,500 a year.
What are we on the hook for right now?
The initial $6,500. That $5,000 setup and $1,500 for this year. I guess we could just do the 5,000 and write it off and not use it this year. Pay the setup fee and walk away, so minimum 5,000.
Is this a continuing contract then, or is
No.
it a one-year
It's a
contract?
year to year,
But next year it'll only be 1,500.
Yeah.
At least right now.
yeah.
So why do we need a contract? We already went, did verbally, why can't we just go from time to time?
Well, we have to pay.
I mean,
No, the bill is what's in question.
okay, I mean, we're gonna have to pay the bill, we're gonna have to pay the bill anyway, so.
It
So
shouldn't be billable without a contract, if it requires a contract.
Do you wanna fight over it? We can do that with the attorneys.
I don't, if it was a mistake,
It
I
was a
feel that
mistake. It
we
was an
would back you
honest
because
mistake.
of that. If
Yeah.
you, if I made a mistake, I hope everybody would try and back me.
I didn't try to hide it, I
Yeah,
didn't
so-
try to pay the bill without bringing it to you.
We owe the money, so we owe the money.
You have the money in your budget?
I do.
Yes, she does.
What will you not be able to pay for if we pay this?
There is nothing that I won't be able to pay for it to pay this.
I'll make the motion that we, approve to pay.
Would you a no vote?
I was a yes vote.
I was a no vote. I make the motion that we reconsider this.
Second.
Can I ask you to be clear, are you just paying the $5,000 fee, or are we signing the contract and using the software this year?
I made a motion for reconsideration.
Submission.
Then we'd have to vote on the whole thing after that.
Please open to make another motion.
Well, let's just do that. And a motion got a second, any discussion?
This is for paying the bill or consideration?
Reconsideration.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Majeski,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Bacon.
Yes,
Reinhardt,
Yes,
Hopefully,
Yes.
Hausler,
Yes.
Ambersine.
Yes.
Gilmore,
No,
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you very much. I'll be a little more careful next time.
Now, gotta vote on.
gotta vote on that.
Oh, that was to reconsider, sorry. I'll save my thing. Oh, my thing.
I'll make the motion that we accept the contract.
You're gonna motion, we got support, we've had some discussion, is there any more?
Well, a little more discussion. I agree we have to pay that, but I don't agree you need to sign a contract. Before you did it with just a verbal contract, why can't we continue with the verbal contract?
I think that it was because they made a mistake by doing the verbal, so we.
There was no mistake. We went ahead verbal. Without a written contract, so that already set the precedence of doing that. So why can't we continue that?
I don't know that Collection Source would continue with the verbal contract. Is Jared still on?
They reinitiated it, so.
I think
He
we're
is still
splitting
on.
hairs there, I
It's
mean,
1 year.
if we're gonna approve it, we're gonna pay that, we pretty
Yeah.
much already.
my problem is we voted it down the first time and they went ahead with it anyway.
No, we
So
didn't.
what's the,
We did not go ahead with it anyway. It was gone ahead with before.
right, exactly. So why bring it to us at all?
Pardon me?
So then why bring it to us at all?
Because I'm honest and I have integrity and I want you to know I'm not trying to slide it on the table.
Well, if there's honesty and integrity, it should have been brought to us first if we have to approve it. We didn't approve it, and now we're being billed for it anyway.
You obviously are not listening. It wasn't intentionally misleading. It was a mistake. I did not intentionally mislead this board and hide it from you. I gave a verbal okay to spend money within my budget that I do every single day. Then the contract came and I brought it to the board.
We didn't know that there was gonna be a contract with it.
Well, I'm just saying, if it's brought to the board and we disapprove it, then it's been done anyway. It seems kind of senseless for us to have to approve it at all.
Right, if it's done intentionally, it was a mistake. You're missing that.
Well, it failed because it was a tie. I mean, it really wasn't actually a vote down. It was a fail by default. It was an actual tie.
I understand.
Reconsider. So there's a motion.
We've reconsidered it, that passed.
Do we have a motion to, well, I guess we need to clarify this.
There was already a motion.
And we got a second. What needs to be clarified is if it's for $6,500. I feel that if we're going to pay the 5,000, why wouldn't we try it anyway?
And it, you know, also to be clear, it was not just Lori's mistake, it was my mistake as well, because I can approve up to a certain amount. I didn't know that there was gonna be a contract. So I told her to go ahead because she had it in her budget. We looked and she had it in her budget. And I told her to go ahead. And then afterwards, the contract came and then we're like, oh, we better take that contract to the board.
Correct.
If I may, sorry for interrupting, I just want to clarify a point here. The $1,500 doesn't come into effect until next year. So right now, it's just the 5,000 setup fee to build the website is all that is required. The contract, the actual contract is more of a protection for Clare County and for the developers to just lay it all out there on what this product does, what its intended purpose is. It's not official results. There's promises to support in there and the fees are established there as well. So as far as the contract goes, you're not necessarily signing anything that would get you another bill this year. The bill is there. The bill is out there. There's nothing further until 2025. So that the $1,500 isn't until this renews, which would be next year.
For clarifying that, Jeremy.
So really, it's not a 1-year contract, it's a 2-year contract
No,
No, it's a one-year
with
contract.
initial setup fee,
with initial setup fee.
and that's waived that.
5,000.
So it's just the 5,000, not the 1,500.
Right, and then next
Okay.
year the contract would be renewed for
But
15.
we do have the service for the upcoming elections.
If we agree to pay the bill, I would say yes. Is that right, Jared?
That is correct. So
Okay.
we, with bill payment, we'll be ready to support you for August and November.
Okay. Any further discussion?
So it's $5,000 bill that we're discussing.
That we're voting to okay.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Well, the motion was to accept the contract.
Which is the 5,000.
Gilmore,
No.
Amberzita,
Yes.
Housework,
Yes.
Hopefully,
Yes.
Feinhardt,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Pittsburgh. Yes. Majeski.
Yes.
Pascal.
Yeah.
Motion carried. Thank you again.
Okay,
Alright.
so we have, Mike is here.
Flip flop there.
Is Patrick coming?
No.
Okay. Or let's flip flop, I'll do mine after,
After that.
yeah. And this is Mike Cudlip with ABG,
Thank you.
and they are our agent of record for our health insurance. So he's bringing all kinds of news to you.
You all, good place things in front of you. It's a guy who did the material there. I think I'd just start by saying, thanks for having me here today. Want to make you aware of where you are with your health insurance renewal for all the employees of the county, beginning on October 1st. One of the things that I wanted to highlight for you is how competitive your plan is in the marketplace in terms of how it benchmarks against other plans. On that first page, which is page 2, on the left-hand side, you see 23, 24, and then you see 24, 25, and you'll see those 2 different plans that people have to choose from. Those plans are very rich relative to the rest of the marketplace. So we're looking at a deductible under that plan that the employee has to pay. Under one plan, it's a $250 deductible. Under the other plan, it's a $0 deductible. For a family, it could be as much as $500 on one of the plans. And then, relative to where the market is averaging about $1,000 to $1,500 deductible now. So that continues to grow. In the governmental sector in particular, it tends to be lower. So the governmental sector tends to have about a $750 to $1,000 deductible. It has been growing. So you have very competitive plans in that perspective. You also have very competitive out-of-pocket costs after that. So what people pay after that is a percentage of their medical costs, and we've got a program in place that where you're buying a bigger deductible than what they're paying, but you're self-funding a portion of that. So it really helps reduce some of your expenses, and reduce the premium that you pay to the insurance company, because you're not getting the premium back if you don't have the losses, but if you don't have the losses with the structure you have on that small piece of what's self-funded, you don't pay it, so it saves the county money. It's been very effective in saving the county money up to this point. In addition to that, you have co-pays for doctor's office visits, urgent care visits, emergency room visits. Those are also very competitive to the marketplace. The average for a primary care physician out in the marketplace is somewhere between $30 and $40 a visit. You guys have $10. A specialist is somewhere between $50 and $60 a visit, and you guys are $10 on one plan, 20 on the other. And then you've also got urgent care, which access is not great here, just in terms of what's out there, but people do have some access. That's a little bit lower cost than an emergency room. Your emergency room copay is at 75 on the one plan after deductible and 50 under the other. The average out there is about $200. So it kind of gives you an idea of where you are. Same types of things happen. I won't go through each one. Where the benchmark is for your copays for your prescription drugs, also very competitive relative to the market. So people have lower out-of-pocket expenses in general compared to other people in the same industry. And if they're talking to their neighbor in a different industry, they pretty much have a little bit better health plan. So a very rich plan, very generous plan from the county. I won't go through all of each of these numbers through here and all of the pieces, but basically right now, what you're looking at is about a 7% increase from 23-24 to 24-25 if we do nothing. We just get just a straight trend increase from Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is also a Blue Care Network, same organization. And they do them together. Employees pay 2% of the cost for the HMO plan and about 16-15% of the cost, depending on their coverage level, for the buy-up PPO plan. Most of the people are enrolled in that base HMO with Blue Care Network. So it kind of gives you an idea of what our starting point is for where your renewal is now. So before I move on from that, do I have any questions from anybody? The next couple pages talks about a concept that we're considering adding a third plan for people to choose from, called a health savings account. It's basically a high deductible health plan that has a health savings account. Just to give me an idea of what your knowledge level might be. Does anybody here know what that is or have any experience with health savings? So there are a few of you. Okay, gotcha. Okay. So basically a health savings account is a bank account that somebody can set up and put money into without paying taxes on that money, so that they can use it to spend on out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. Those out-of-pocket healthcare expenses could be, the deductible under the health plan, their co-pays under the health plan. They could also be, out-of-pocket dental expenses or vision expenses or other expenses that aren't necessarily covered by the health plan. So it gives them a way to pay for that while saving on Social Security, state and federal income tax. For the average person, that's about 25 or 30% reduction in cost for them when they're paying those bills, because they're not paying the taxes on those dollars first. When they deposit money to the account, you can also deposit money to their account. So there's different ways to go about it. There are maximums on that account each year. They're never taxed on that money when it goes in. They're also never taxed on the money when it comes out. The money rolls over from year to year, and it can also earn interest. And after accounts grows enough, they could begin to invest that in mutual funds, like a 401k or other type of retirement plan. So we encourage a lot of people, in fact, with HSAs, particularly as they start to get older and the kids are gone and things like that. Hey, here's another retirement vehicle for you to pay for healthcare in retirement. So very powerful tool when you look at it. Page 4 kind of gives you some of the things that help with that. It helps give people security, because now they've got a little bank account with a bucket of money. Hey, that's my healthcare money. Most people don't have a bank account set up or a sub account under their checking account that says that's my healthcare money. This really kind of creates that for them. And it helps make the plan more affordable. It reduces the cost for the county potentially. It also reduces the cost for the participant, which helps them to be able to fund that health savings account. It's their bank account. They always have that bank account, all the money that's in it, whether they're here or they go somewhere else or they retire, their money, their bank account. It's a flexible, type of account, they can use it if they want, or they can save it. It depends on how they want to do it. So it's portable, they're in control of it. You're getting the tax savings from the state, federal, and social security. And after age 65, the best way to use one of these accounts is to pay for your Medicare Part B premium, which these days is about $170 a month per person. So it can really help pay for that.
Is there a limit they put in each year? Is there a limit they can put in each year for that?
Each year there is a limit, and in fact, I think I've got that on a couple pages. The amounts increase each year, so I'll show you those in a couple pages. In terms of how they would have the account, they would have a debit card that they could use to pay for it, so it's just, Visa debit card, basically. Those cards are usually set up so that they can't buy things that they shouldn't buy, which just is helpful to them. So we're trying to help them, hey, don't buy that because it's not an eligible expense. You can't use your card for that. So it depends on where they're using it, how that interacts. They do and are responsible for keeping track of those expenses themselves and keeping receipts of those. They have to keep their tax files. We educate them about that. In all the years I've had one now for 20 years, 18 years, somewhere around there. I've actually been audited twice in that time period because my wife used to run a business out of our home. And they never asked me about my health savings account. So it's not something the government's very focused on in terms of auditing. But we do want to make sure that people understand what their rights are, or what their responsibilities are with that account. So, they have things, they designate a beneficiary, just like any other account. If it's their spouse gets to use it as a health savings account. So there's a lot of advantages to the account and how it would operate within the health plan structure. It's not for everybody, which is why we want to make it as an option for people to choose. The page 6 gets into the amounts they can put in 2024. When you have single coverage, so you're the only person covered, the maximum is $4,150 that can go into that account. If you have 2 or more people covered, the maximum is $8,300. When you have one person for part of the year and 2 people for the other part of the year, you prorate each part to come up with the maximum for the year. So we help people with that. And then if you're age 55 or older, you get to put in an extra $1,000 a year as a catch-up contribution, similar to what you can do with retirement plan. In 25, that's going up to $4,300 for single, $8,550 for family, and getting $1,000 catch-up contribution. So, and we typically see those increases in about that level each year as we look at the programs as well. I'm not going to go through the sample eligible expenses in detail, but you can see them there. That's what I was talking about earlier. They can use it for, things that they have out of pocket under their health plan or other things as well. So the next several pages, page 8, and I apologize for the size of this. I have old eyes too, so it is difficult to read. But you'll see when we add the third plan here, kind of the couple of different scenarios that we're looking at and considering. First of all, we went with the assumption that about 10% of the people might choose this plan. It could be more, it could be less. But as we educate people, we tend to see that first year people are a little cautious moving into the program. When we look at this, we also are looking at increasing employee contributions for the other 2 plans. So the HMO plan would go from a 2% contribution to a 10% contribution. So you can see on lines 31, 32, and 33, if you can see, going from $1,470 per month to $70 per month for single coverage, $2,860 to $164.76, and $37.59 to $199.96, and that's a majority of your current enrollment. So to give you an idea of how that's going to impact people, so that's a lot of people that would impact. Even at 10%, you're still well below where the market is in terms of what you're charging people for health insurance at that level. And they have a very rich plan design compared to other people. So if you added their payroll contribution, even with the increase to their out-of-pocket amounts, they would be very, very competitive in the marketplace. The other option is to increase that buy-up plan to 20% from its current roughly about 15%. And so I will walk through each of those numbers, but you can see those there. That impacts 14 people that are currently enrolled in that plan. We don't anticipate that any of the people in that plan would enroll in the HSA based on our illustration. But some of those could, so it's just a guessing game at this point in terms of who might enroll. Then the last column is the high deductible health plan. The way that program would work is everything would go toward the deductible under the plan first. So no co-pays for office visits and drugs and things like that. It all counts for the deductible. You have single coverages of $2,500 deductible. If you have 2 or more people, it's a $5,000 deductible, and it works differently. A $5,000 deductible is for any one or a combination of people in the family. Where on the old plans, it's a per person deductible, so it's different that way. And that's just how that plan has to be set up in order for people to have the health savings account. After that, plan would cover all the medical expenses at 100%. People would have co-pays for prescription drugs and another potential $1,500 out of pocket for those co-pays after that deductible, so maximum of $4,000. So when you look at that maximum out of pocket amount, it's a little bit higher than what you have under the other plans, and that's part of why we're looking at, as you move down, charging people nothing for this option. So in order to join this option, they don't have to have anything come out of their paycheck, so they'd be able to save that money. But we always talk about paying themselves. Why don't you take the money you're paying to Blue Cross Blue Shield and start paying it to yourself, put it in your HSA. So that's kind of how we educate people.
And then the county would put a certain amount of money into their HSA. So that would also be the incentive that the county would put $1,250 for a single person every year into the HSA and $2,500 for a family into the HSA for the employee.
Yeah, and so that really kind of cuts that deductible for them in terms of the impact right out of pocket. We haven't worked out all the administrative approaches, but what we've talked about is kind of putting that in up front. So that way, when if somebody's got a prescription drug they need to go get filled, they don't have, and it's $200 and like come out $200 right away. Fill that drug. So those are the types of strategies that we're talking about. Overall, if we did this particular and we had 10%, it would actually go from a 7% increase to a 1.2% decrease. Okay, so it does save the county money for that. So before I jump into the rest, because they're all kind of just different scenarios of the same thing, do you guys have any questions about this?
You mentioned the 1,250 and the 2,500. Does that come out of the maximum contributions? that are
Yes,
allowed?
it does. Any other questions? How's health insurance 101 going? Actually, it's probably 401. So the next page is different. The next page is assume 20% of the people migrate to the new plan instead of 10. That does increase your cost because you are saying, hey, you pay 0 for coverage and we're putting money in your HSA. So that puts the county just about equal, about 0.5% lower cost than you have today. When you look at it with 20% of the people going, if 50% of the people go, it would actually increase your costs about 1.6%. So significantly below the 7% on the renewal, but still a little bit of an increase. And we would be, our education will focus on helping people understand why, this option would be good for them. My anticipation is probably 60 to 70% of the people would actually financially be better off in one of these plans. They aren't necessarily going to feel that way because they looked at big deductible at first. So it's my job and my team's job to help them understand how would this impact you financially. Let's talk about how you use healthcare, those types of things. And even though it might be better financially, not everybody's going to take it because it's a little hard to understand at first. But that's where our focus will be. Page 11 is a different strategy for contributions. So instead of going to 10% on the base plan, it goes up to 5%. So from 2% to 5%. So a less significant increase for the people that are in that plan. You've got, like I said, 100 people in that plan today. The buy-up plan, instead of going from 15% roughly to 20, we put everybody at 15. So that kind of stays the same. A couple of people pay a little bit less than they're paying, and a couple of people pay a little bit more, just in terms of how that works out by each coverage level. But it's really pretty much insignificant from that perspective. The difference there is about a 4% increase. When we anticipate 10% of the people going. So a little bit less savings, and that's really coming from having lower contributions to those other two plans. Than what was proposed on the previous pages. The next page is what if 20% migrated, that's a little over 4% increase. And then the last page is what if 50% migrated, and that's about a 5% increase. I really don't anticipate 50% migration unless we were able to, you know, super educate people. And they all really get it, and wow, why wouldn't I do this? But I anticipate it'd probably be somewhere in that 10 to 20% range in the first year. So.
And this is all providing that the county opts out of PA 152.
Yes, exactly. So that's the other piece that's not in here. We did do an analysis of the PA 152. If the county continues to opt out of PA 152, if we went to PA 152, people's contributions would go up significantly. Yeah.
And I can get that information to you. They did get it.
If you went 80-20, give you an idea, it's only a 20% contribution, and every single one of those plans would be very different than where they are today. And if you did the cap, it's even a little bit more. So. Yes, sir.
How many counties, cities, road commissions, and that do you do?
Do I do?
I mean, does
Yeah.
your company?
Gosh, 20 or so. We've got road commissions, we've got counties, we've got cities. We've got them up here, we've got them on the east side of the state, we've got them to the south. So I mean, Kent County, Grand Rapids, Grand Traverse County, Benzie County, Osceola County, city of Fraser, city of Grand Rapids, city of Holland, number of townships, Berry County Road Commission, the road commission. I can't think of off the top of my head, but a lot of it.
Okay, if we look at the current year, how would we shape up? Would we be in the top or in the middle, or?
You're kind of on the lower side of your increase if you did nothing. The reason for that is that we moved your plan from where it was in the structure it was before into this Blue Cross program and structure, which created a bunch of savings for the county this year. Because of that, you're getting what's called just a trend renewal from Blue Cross. So their trend renewal is that it's a little more than 7%, but with the employee contributions, it comes out to 7%. So that's where that comes from. When I look across our block of business, particularly in the governmental sector, we're probably seeing more like about a 9 to 10% increase on average. But that's with some literally getting 40% increases on some of those groups, where our self-funded clients, Kent County, Grand Rapids, City of Holland, and a few others, their experience is a little bit better than that. They've been self-funded for quite a long time, and we have been able to manage those plans a little bit differently.
So if I can get this clear, you say we're midway or a little lower?
A little lower in terms of your increase than other
I don't mean
insured
the
programs.
increase, I mean, like where we are right now with this year.
Oh, with your health plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're up here. Even the other cities and counties that we have, they have a little bit more out of pocket on their plan to science than you guys.
So we have about as good a policy as you provide out there.
That's, yeah, I mean, and each client makes their own decisions. But yeah, it's a little bit better than what we see for most of the
Okay. I mean, this is something I'm sure you can't answer, but why is these costs keep going up? Is it the healthcare?
There's a couple of reasons. One is we're all getting older. Stuff falls out, as you can plainly see. Yeah, exactly. So as people get older and our whole population is getting older. So when I started in the business 35 years ago, the average age was probably in the 20s when you calculated in all the dependents that people had, and now our average age is closer to 40. So, a lot of different healthcare needs when we're talking about that big swing. So that's one factor. Another factor is new therapies that are coming to market. There's a lot of new genetic therapies and genetic treatments, especially for cancers, that are very, very expensive, millions of dollars expensive to provide treatment. Many of them are curable. There's a new treatment, for example, for people with hemophilia, which is a very small portion of the population, but it's a $4 million treatment, but it's curative. So somebody with hemophilia doesn't have hemophilia anymore. They're not taking factor, which can be $500,000 or $600,000 a year by itself. So that's one other part of it. The last part of it is prescription drugs. The cost of prescription drugs, particularly in the specialty market, continue to grow. One of the strategies we've also talked about, because of what Blue Cross is doing, a lot of the new weight loss drugs that have come to market, Blue Cross is eliminating those. Most other companies that didn't cover them already in the state of Michigan, so Blue Cross is kind of catching up, and so that will be happening with the county as well. And that's an impact that will have a pretty significant impact on your renewal next year when we use more of your experience rather than just that term.
Means our costs could be lower.
Correct.
Should be lower.
Yeah, so it will reduce costs. So those are the primary factors.
Okay. Well, it's a labor cost and it's eating up more and more and more of our budget between the raises and the insurance. And, as somebody that we have to take a look at the budget and we have to figure out, which direction we're gonna go.
Yeah, it's like a teeter-totter. We're always trying to get the right balance there, giving people choices that say, hey, you can pay a little bit more out of your paycheck and have a little bit less out of your pocket, pay a little bit less out of your paycheck and have a little bit more out of pocket, and doing that while trying to meet the budget that the county has or any of our other clients have. There's always the balance in it.
And I do plan on having a discussion about this at the committee of the whole. I just wanted I wanted Mike to come, you meet him and give an overview of what we're looking at.
And I'm, happy to answer questions anytime. So if you guys have questions, gals have questions, and you want to get them back through Lori and Jody, then get them to me, I can help answer those anytime you want.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
Have a safe trip back.
Thank you.
Yeah, you want to. What's that? You want to- you need a break? So let's do your report first.
Okay. I have been working on contract negotiations with the six of the 9 units, and it has been going pretty well, I believe. I am still working on the budget, but there are several items that need to be firmed up before I can present the budget to you. One of them are the union contracts, which we're working on. The county revenue sharing, which we're not exactly sure on those numbers right now with the new budget that the government passed. And of course, the health insurance. So whatever you guys are gonna decide, we'll have a discussion about it at the committee of the whole in August. And then you will have to vote on whether you're going to opt out of PA 152 by the regular board meeting in August. So then I can have some firm numbers. The state budget passed with a $30 million boost to county revenue sharing, which is about 11.5% increase, but it does not mean that every county will get that 11.5% increase. The increase is distributed differently than traditional statutory revenue sharing payments. The increase is calculated based on an inverse relationship to the taxable value of our county as compared to the rest of the state. So the state treasury department, they do not have those numbers broken down yet, but hopefully I'll get those numbers soon. This is not just a one-time increase, it is ongoing, but the MAC is still pushing hard for the revenue sharing trust fund, which carves out a percentage of the sales tax for revenue sharing, so they still think that that's a viable option in the future. In the state budget, we were pretty excited for a minute. There's the local prosecutor support grant of $17 million in the state budget to address the hiring and staff retention crisis across the state. But that money is only going to 15 counties with the highest rates of violent crime per 1,000 residents. So per 1,000 residents, the highest rate of violent crime. And I just got those counties yesterday. We were it sounds awful that we were hoping for it, but it's good that we do not meet that criteria. But I do have the counties that are going to receive that money. Of course, most of them are south counties, but northern counties that are gonna receive the money for prosecution is Crawford County, which is Grayling area, Luce County in the Upper Peninsula, and Schoolcraft County, and then the rest of them are downstate. Saginaw, Genesee, Kent, Muskegon, Eaton, Ingham, Washtenaw, Jackson, Calhoun, Kalamazoo, and Berrien. The Medicaid coverage that was requested for incarcerated individuals was not included in the budget. Axe the tax will not be on the November ballot. The proponents failed to gain the necessary signatures by the July 8th deadline. So that will not be on the November ballot. I'm probably gonna steal a little bit of Dale's thunder here, but I had our MCOG meeting last week, which is the East Michigan Council of Governments. And the East Michigan Council of Governments, MCOG, is the state designated regional and U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration designated economic development district. Clare County, being a member of this East Michigan Council of Governments, provides economic benefits to everybody in Clare County. The cities, because we are members, the cities reap the benefits, the village, townships, all in Clare County. So all state and federal grants written go through this regional designated council. Clare County has been a paying member advocating for economic development for many years. Which brings me to the Sparks grant that some townships and cities applied for, which I was pretty excited about. So in this 14 county region, there were 7 Sparks grants given out, and 3 of them were in Clare County, which is huge. One was to Hayes Township for $722,500. Another one was to Lincoln Township for $772,700, and one was to the city of Harrison for $757,500. So, I would like to congratulate the city of Harrison, Hayes Township, and Lincoln Township on these fantastic awards and applaud their hard work. And I'd also like to thank the Board of Commissioners for their support for economic development through their continued membership for the state and U.S. Department of Commerce designated economic district. So, while I'm doing my report, can I do the state of the fund budget? So at this time, we should be about 80% expensed in our budget, and we are 72.4% expensed. Last year at this time, we were also at 72% expensed. So we're almost exactly like where we were last year at this time. We have expensed $11.5 million, and last year we were at $11.7 million. So we're holding steady there, and that's all I have.
Any questions, Laura? Thank you. We take 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Curve too fast.
Oh,
Kills me.
Dave,
Yeah.
you're up.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Last meeting, there was a request for an update on the airport. I believe, Jack, you're one of those commissioners that asked for an airport update. With this presentation, about 30 slides, we give all of you a full accounting of basically what we've been doing for the last 18 months at the Clare County Airport. So our county airport designation is 80 Delta. So whenever you see 80 Delta, that refers to the Clare County Airport. There's an overview. The yellow are our property lines. And I'll discuss those at later when we get to the next one of the future slides. So this is the agenda. We're gonna talk about the main runway, the things that we have done. The gates, turf runway, the terminal, some new lease agreements, some improvements, some external items, and then future designs and plans. The Coast Guard is a recurring visitor from Traverse City. We are one of 4 airports in the state that has a restaurant on site. So that's one of the draws that we have, one of the advantages. So, our main runway is 3,000 feet by 50 feet. It was paved in 1980. And the best records that I can find in the Register of Deeds, it's been crack sealed in those following years. We are again scheduled based off last meeting's approval of the grants. We're scheduled for crack sealing in 2024 this year. We crack sealed with aggregate mastic last year. That was the $6,500 that the board approved for the road commission to come in with that new material, and that really helped to improve the runway. Paint marking, again, the board has approved it. We're scheduled in 2024 this year. The trees were recently cut in 23, and you'll see a picture of it next. And then we have non-standard lighting. In August of 2023, MDOT came in. That's their vehicle, Stephanie Whitinger. She's an inspector for MDOT Aeronautics. And she did the drone flights and identified that we had for the state approach plan, which our license only requires us to meet the state approach plan. We had to cut trees on the north end. So this is looking north towards the Ash Acres subdivision. And everything above that line, we had to cut. So we went ahead and contracted, and for $3,800 out of our budget, we went ahead and took care of those trees. That is the state approach plan graphic that the state provides us. And you can see the trees that are popping up there. That's just a different representation of the previous slide. So those are the trees. The owners are very accommodating. Actually, most of them were like, thank you so much for cutting those trees. We didn't want them anyway. So it was a win-win for everybody involved. This is the diagonal runway, 235. This represents the slope going up that hill towards Stockwell. And these trees, go to the next slide, were significant. This would have been a much larger bill. After discussing with Mead and Hunt, the aviation consultants in Lansing, they recommended that we had one too many runways. That we're one of the few airports that has 3 runways. So the airport committee made a decision to close 235 to spare the expense of cutting these trees, because this would have been significant. The other problem is finding exactly which tree to cut on whose property. And there's a lot of small lots in that area. So it was just an easier decision to go ahead and close the runway. So the main runway, I alluded to earlier, has non-standard lighting. The non-standard lighting is because it was put in by volunteer help. It wasn't exactly what should have been done. It was done many, many years ago, and it has deteriorated to a point that you see, this is the wires that are laying on top of the ground, and the lights really do not even work.
So that exposed wire nuts right there?
They're exposed wire nuts. Yes, Rick, those are exposed. It is non-standard, and actually it doesn't even work half the time. So that's one of the things that we'll talk about in the next slides about fixing. So this is a tentative lighting plan. So like I said, 3,000 feet, we need lights on both sides. Then there's some displaced thresholds. And as you can see, right by our runway, because of the trees and the runway protective zone, we have to move our displaced thresholds. That's where the airplanes have to land if they're going north or they're going south. Those little white lines across the runway. So those displaced thresholds also require lights. A taxiway to the north, which comes off the main turf runway. Taxiway B that comes in from that red dot towards the restaurant. Then taxiway C, which is that runway that comes in off the center of the main runway to the east by the CCTC towards the hangars. So a total of all those lights that we anticipate is 164. That does not include the turf runway. And an estimated wire requirement is between 7,000 and 9,000 feet. The power comes in at the beacon at the small shed and splits into 2 wires and goes all the way out to the runway, around the runway, and then back to that shed. So there's 2 wires. This is what ours could look like once we put in the lights. Pretty simple. It's not that hard to do. There's FAA requirements. They give us the blueprint on how to do it. So it's pretty much how to just follow the instructions and install it. We have received over 400 lights donated by the Pontiac and Romeo airports. They've been kind enough. They're getting LED light upgrades. They've provided us all of these lights. And as you can see at the bottom, go ahead, next slide, please. Bob Ash kindly transported all these lights up, and it's a better picture of what's in the back of the truck in the back seat. The bases are, they basically just pulled it off a small vault. There's like, think of a coffee can, a large concrete coffee can that the wire comes into, snaps into the wire for the light. And then you just basically use those vaults. They kept the vaults, but they provided us with the transformers, which you can maybe see in the bed of the pickup truck. There's like a black transformer that's on the end of the wire. So out of these lights, we pretty much have 175 to 200 that are intact, that are going to allow us to, in essence, put out 2 standard FAA compliant lights with the minimum purchase of wire and some technical assistance from local electricians. We anticipated that we're going to redo the turf runway. To get the farm equipment into the airport, we needed to expand the gates. So this is on the south side. CCTC is to your left. This is the, go ahead, next slide. This is where Neville Farm Supply installed 2 16-foot gates, providing us 32 feet of access to allow farm implements to access the airport, because there's no other way to get large machinery in if we needed it. Next slide. We also looked at the north axis. This is just north of the restaurant. This is historically where law enforcement, fire and ambulance would arrive for any life flight or any access to the airport. Go ahead. And again, Neville Supply changed it out for us. So we have a new north gate, and the Clare County Road Commission very kindly provided us with signs on that north gate, allowing us to ensure that it's not blocked by customers of the airport restaurant. The turf runway, this is our 927. This is the second runway that we're keeping, the paved one being 18-36818. You can see the clumping, and the airport committee has discussed this at length. We've looked at how are we going to fix this. We received a soil sample from MSU. We sent down approximately 25 soil samples. And of course, they told us what we already knew. We needed fertilizer, we need to till it, we need to spray it, we need to do all the things that we need to do to make sure that it grows properly. So the rehabilitation of 927, the left photo is looking towards Business Route 127. The right photo is looking towards the west toward Gainer Lakes. Those are the 5 things that we have identified as in that order, and a tentative budget of approximately $5,000. This is the current terminal office. This is the county hangar. And the side is just an extension of that county hangar. Inside of this hangar is where the tractor is, the John Deere that we have with all the implements. This is the layout of that. So to the top is the runway, to the right is the restaurant, to the bottom is Business Route 127. This is what it looks like. These are the dimensions, and this is what we use to put out to contractors to come back to help us finish this terminal office. This is what it looks like currently on the inside. The left photo is where Gail Bensinger, our county employee, our county airport manager, that's his workspace. In the center is the unfinished bathroom and the furnace that's only been used a couple times. To the right is the terminal office with the door leading to the flight line. This is what it could look like. This is West Branch. The top left is from the flight line, the bottom right is from their parking area, and of course, they have fuel. They have 2 fuel tanks. What they utilize is Ave Fuel. It is a contractor out of Ann Arbor. They provide the tanks, they provide all the management, they call when it needs to be refilled, and West Branch only gets a small percentage. The remainder goes to Ave Fuel because it's basically their operation. So that is a potential for the Harrison Clare County Airport. Some of the improvements that we've done since we convened the airport committee is we created some new leases. Now, the leases that are in place right now were signed in 2022, so they're good till 2029. So the new leases won't go into effect until there is a change of ownership of the hangars. The restaurant, we just had them sign a new lease, a 5-year lease with a 5-year option, and that was redone. Both the leases for the hangars and the lease for the restaurant went through the county attorney for review. And then we redid the airport rules. There's the front page of the airport rules on the right. And that's newly enacted to give hangar owners, visitors, anyone else, the understanding of what the rules are on the airport. We didn't have it. We had no rules. So there's no way of enforcing because we didn't have it. And at the bottom is the Harrison Area Pilot Association has created a website, and we'll show that at the end. And that's something newly created by the pilots that use the Harrison area. Some external items. I've asked MMDC to create an economic impact assessment for the airport. MDOT requires one yearly for us to do, so it's called something different. More assessment of the community needs. A meeting minutes of the Physical Resources Committee of the Board of Commissioners from 2003 showed an economic impact of the airport. This is a 2003 document of $604,000. Obviously, it's probably higher due to inflation, but there is a definite economic impact by having the airport. NIPIAS, National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems Inclusion. So I went ahead and contacted Congressman Molnar's office about 3 months ago on what would it take for us to get back into the NIPIAS system or to get into the system. Because we did not get into the system when it was first unveiled back in the 90s. They responded that with the requirements. And one of the base requirements besides 10 aircraft is that we cannot be within 30 miles of another NIPIAS airport. I've asked them for, is there a waiver and exclusionary process to see, because we're an enterprise zone, we're, you know, rising tide, all of the economically depressed area, is there any exemptions? I'm waiting on an answer from them. MDOT, the question has been raised about reversion. I asked MDOT. They've answered that they need to do a study of their documents to see what the reversionary clause means and what impacts are. Exactly what the deeds. So I'm awaiting their response as well. This is the short range plan, so meaning the next couple of years. We're rehabilitating the main runway as we spoke. The aggregate went down last year, more crack sealing this year to make sure that it is safe for pilots to utilize. Standard lighting to put all those lights that I showed that Mr. Ash brought up to install them. While we do that, to put a segmented circle with a lighted windsock, which is denoted by that blue donut. Our windsock is too far away from the runways. It is not practical for pilots to see it when they're on the approach to land. Gail Bensinger, our airport manager, is repairing the tetrahedron. The bearings are out and he's repainting it and it'll be reinstalled here shortly. We've discussed the rehabilitation of the turf runway, which we may or may not accomplish this year if depending on the budget requirements. And then we have gravel on runway C, which is that red line on the bottom. That's runway C or taxiway C. Somewhere in the past, in an effort to repair the taxiway, they used gravel. Gravel is a no-no around airplane. Because the propellers will kick that up and it'll damage the aircraft. So we have to remove that, and that's one of the priorities to get that done to make it proper. We'd like to finish the existing airport terminal. To that, you saw the schematic. We've received one visit by one contractor to come look at that to see if we can finish that. Existing airport terminal. It's half complete. It won't take very much, but we don't know exactly how much. In the next foreseeable future, these 2 years, I'd like to add 2 more hangars to get to that 10 aircraft that the NIPIAS requires. There's plenty of space. If you look at that vertical red line between those hangars, there's enough space for us to put at least 4 more hangars. And those are lot leases that if an individual wants to build a hangar, it's 100 by 100 lot lease, that's more income to the county. At the $294 per year that you guys approved last meeting. We'd also like to get electrical power to all the hangars. That is pretty much a must, because our hangars don't have power. They need to have power, so they can put lights and, you know, et cetera. Some of the events that we'd like to conduct is a fall fly-in, like a quick cider and donuts for visiting pilots, just to have them come see the airport. It's really a low, doesn't take a lot of logistics, and we could do that. Next year, an airport open house and a flying breakfast. The airport, Gail Peterson, has indicated she would support that and help us do a pancake style breakfast as an airport flying. And then any airport fundraisers that we can create between now and next year. The long range plan, which is pretty much like a 5-year plan, is to repave that main runway. A repaving, the road commission says you can just grind it up and relay it. So you don't actually have to take it up, you just have to grind out the top. So we'll have to see exactly what the road commission could say, you know, what they could do and how we can improve that. We have to continue to try to maintain that main runway. The airport terminal, the flight planning center, airport manager's office, the restaurant concession, a new airport terminal. To that effect, I've spoken to FED. FED is willing to do a design for us, a site plan design, to let us know what that conceptually would look like. We tabled that last night. It's a $4,000 bill. I'm not sure that we're ready for that yet, so we did not vote on it last night at the airport committee meeting. But we do need a small parking apron with tie downs for visiting aircraft. We'd like to pave the red taxiway that's visible in the photo. And of course, water and sewer in conjunction with the city of Harrison and Hayes Township. Because obviously, not only does industrial parking would like that, but so would the airport restaurant and the airport terminal. Oh, but also cultivate businesses on the airport, and then to attract more businesses in the future, which is, you know, part of creating demand for the airport. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here for any questions, and then entertain one to look at it.
I have a nice presentation.
I will briefly on that east side, if you remember on that there, the first slide, there's a line, a yellow line along Business Route 127. There's a outlot A and an outlot B that belongs to the county. And those are denoted for green space. So we actually own frontage on Business Route 127 from the corner, that far southeast corner hangar, all the way to the intersection of Cranberry and Business Route 127. So that's something we need to discuss in the committee of the whole, how we're gonna approach that.
And I did have a title search done on the airport, and I plan on bringing that information at the committee of the whole too.
Yes. So barring any questions, the Harrison Area Pilots Association created that website. I alluded to it earlier.
Just stop sharing and then start sharing again. Just
So currently, we have about $12,000 left in the budget, and that's dedicated toward the lights. So depending on how much the lights cost us, the wire and the electricians, technical assistance, and any other pieces that we might have to purchase, that should fulfill the budget. So as we move forward, each one of these small projects, the projects that were funded by last year's budget, this is the gates, this is the tree cutting, this is the crack sealing, the aggregate, you know, the county road commission put out. So these are tangible benefits. I mean, we've actually created these things with the $20,000 that was appropriated by the board last year. So that's what I would ask for next year, is basically to continue with that $20,000 approval as we get these small projects done, which improve the airport. This airport is a general aviation airport. We're in the center of the state. We have a lot of visitors. And I think that it's necessary for us to.
Bear with me a moment. It's not showing on there. So. Just one moment. Try something here, sorry.
Gabe, do you want to give everybody the
Harrison
HarrisonAPA.org?
Let me just try that, just one moment. Right there. Okay. It's not.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Everybody's got the website. They can look at it at their leisure. Thanks, John.
There it is. There it is. So sorry. You wanna? I'm like,
Just scroll down. That's been created by our Airport Pilots Association. You can just scroll through those photos. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about that.
Marlene, will you take statutory finance meeting?
Make a motion to approve statutory finance committee meeting minutes of July 8th, 2024. In the amount of $250,764.87. And the minutes of June 24, 2024, in the amount of $43,984.09.
I'll second.
You got a second? Roll call, please.
Outlook,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Ambrositis,
Yes.
Majeski.
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
motion carried.
David, you take B?
Of course. Motion to approve the expenditures for the month of June 2024, the amount of $274,790.48, with the general fund expenditures totaling $1,069,464.96.
Second, roll call, please.
Copeland,
Yes.
Majeski.
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Ambrositis,
Yes.
Houseland,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Yes.
motion carried.
Matthew, take C?
Motion to approve budget adjustments 24-104 and budget adjustments 24-105 in amount of $93,653.53. $163,266.72 respectively.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Hausler,
Yes.
Amberside,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Jeffy,
Yes.
Pascal,
Yes.
motion carried.
Dale, PDD.
Sure. Approve the resolution number 2415, selling the Reading Township property, authorizing the sale in the amount of $30,000.
Support.
Motion, we got support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Jeffy.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yes.
Amberside,
Yes.
Hausler,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Pittsburgh, Gilmore,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Pascal,
Yes.
motion carried.
Where do you got any more for us?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Jenny?
In front of you, I had already handed out your cash investment positions. If you have any questions on those, just let me know. The 2024 first minimum bid land sale is August 1st. It's online only, from 10 in the morning until 7. There are currently 28 properties that will be going to sale at this time. Anybody that would like information on that can go to the tax-sale.info website. Otherwise, we have information in our office, but, you can gain the access online. I've been working on all things land bank. We do have a contractor in place for 6 of our 7 properties. I'm having a couple issues with some of the mobile home affidavits that we need to do to get some of that demolished, but I'm working on it. I'll call some to some agencies for that. The 2024 current tax bills went out by your local units. We just sent out approximately 4,000 delinquents, but those are coming in pretty good. And all of your units have been working on the July board of review. We've been getting the adjustments already. So that's just an update for us. Worked with Lori last night in the election accuracy, ballot accuracy meeting. In case you guys want some fun, come and watch us test those next time.
For 6 hours.
But anyways, that's all I have in case you guys have any questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I'm. Okay. Michigan Works, Region 7, along with the Bay Area Michigan Works in October is holding a career quest. And I forgot this in there with me, but I think it's for 8th grade students. And they do around anywhere between 11 and 15,000 students from this area goes to Saginaw Valley. And there's businesses, vendors, and they basically walk around and look at what careers are in this area to try and promote and keep our local talent. I'll keep everybody apprised of that, and if anybody's interested, you probably could attend and check it out, but I think it's a good thing. And in May, Clare County's unemployment was 5.7%. Street fair for City Harris is next month. That's all I got. Yeah.
That's all you got. Well, like Lori said, she stole my thunder. The Sparks grant that was awarded to Lincoln Township for the Shinnecock Park, $772,000. I gotta give credit where credit's due. Carol, my wife, was the one that put in for that grant, did all the hard work and the legwork and all that. She did receive a grant a few years ago, probably 10, 12 years ago. Then she also worked on a downtown enhancement grant too as well, so she's a well accomplished grant writer, and it's obviously proved it because we were awarded that money. So it's a great addition and improvement to a park that is used a lot. So it's great. You know, I knew that it was approved a while before you could actually say something. Because you can't really publicly say anything until signed agreement is done with the township. So it was tough keeping that excitement and keeping that information in, but I managed to do it. So, but congratulations to her and Lincoln Township for getting that grant. That's good. Just a quick update on the happenings that we had on the 4th of July weekend in our area. We did have a confirmed EF1 tornado touchdown in Lincoln Township. That actually originated, they started the path right at the end of Arbor Drive, which is the road that I live on, across the lake, and it went east for approximately 12 miles. Most of the damage was done from actually Old State east, but there was a lot of damage that was done Arbor Drive as far as trees, power lines, people's boats, pontoons that were actually lifted out of the water, put up on shore. So, you know, we got really lucky. Lake George got really lucky because the damage that happened from Old State east would have happened from Arbor Drive east. We would have probably had some significant home damage, and who knows what, there were people there, there was 4th of July weekend, there was a lot of people in town, so it could have been a lot worse. We really got it. I know there was some questions on some of the emergency sirens and stuff like that. We did have one out at Silver Lake that I had ProCom look at. They think there's some electrical damage to it, so we don't know if it got hit by lightning or not. Some of the transceivers need to be replaced and the antenna was scorched, so we think maybe that's part of the problem. Really, with Osceola County sending out a severe thunderstorm warning, Clark County was not under anything to that point. I mean, this thing happened so fast that it was tough to react to in that. So, but we got lucky and thank God, you know. So, and it just builds and helps us prepare. That's really, if anybody needs.
Really?
I only have a couple things on the tornado. I wasn't directly, I live 2 miles from Lake George. And all I did was lose power for 17 hours, so it was awful. It was awful. There's a lot of tree damage, already. And Garfield Township is having a car wash at the fire department on the 27th. They wanted me to come and wash cars, but that's not gonna happen. Other than that, I've been attending my meetings. That's all I have.
Just, can I add one thing? I don't mean to interrupt you, but I forgot to mention that it's really appreciated by a lot of the tree companies and a lot of citizens and a lot of these contractors, sheriff's department, the road commission, they all called me, and our government and we wanting to get, I mean, it was great to hear that people were that concerned and they wanted to offer their help in the cleanup and whatever they could do. It was really appreciated. I just forgot to mention that.
Dave?
I have a couple things. It's a weird, way the calendar worked this month. Some of the meetings that I had actually met twice before, the commissioners meeting happened. The first one being Cross Township. They had the meeting the night after us. So Frost is currently working on a road patrol, a road project with Franklin Township. They're going to be working on Cornwall Road. So between their 2 meetings, they finalized the contract and turned it into the road commission. We've also had several candidates making the rounds as the election years. Cross Township's also working on some improvements to their township hall. This includes painting and looking at replacing windows. They also have installed their ballot box, the drop boxes in. Franklin Township, as I mentioned before, has approved the road project. They have discussions about Airbnbs coming into the area. And again, they discussed the Harrison Fire Township. We've had 2 airport board meetings, said with the presentation that we did earlier. We've been working on some projects. The last meeting was last night on VFW. In Summerfield, there was also concerns about Airbnb. And there was also a discussion about golf carts and people getting pulled over and ticketed. They also painted their township hall last month, so they paid for it with the bill this month. Community Action Agency has changed the form requirements. Some of the new counties that have joined Michigan are quite a bit farther than the rest of them, so it can take most of the day for the people to get there. So instead of 50% required for quorum, it is now 50%. In Winterfield Township, there was another discussion about the ambulance. And they also have a ballot measure coming up in several of the townships around them for the Marion Community District Library that is being formed. They discussed whether or not they were going to consider bringing forward a ballot proposal thereon. Yesterday, we also had the local emergency planning commission meeting. Where we did discuss the aftermath of the EF1 tornado in those area. We also discussed the National Weather Service's radar system. The nearest one is down in Grand Rapids, and based on the way that they do the tracking of the radar, by the time it gets to Clare County, it is about 6,000 feet in the air. So when storms roll up in Clare County, it doesn't always show up in their radar system. Some of the stuff, like the tornadoes, are a lot closer to the ground than 6,000 feet. We also had the E911 meeting directly after that. We had updates on the radio project for Central Dispatch. It's gonna be $30,000 under budget, and they are working on installing the ground service. We were also asked that we would pass this along to the board and members of the community. The way to sign up for emergency alerts on your phone is smart911.com. A lot of times, these emergency alerts, you have to, if you have enabled them on the phone, you can also disable them, and sometimes disabling it means you won't get all the weather alerts. So make sure that you guys are signed up for that. So when bad weather strikes, if it is with prior knowledge, you will have a bit more of a chance to react to it. Also said to have a plan before using the bomb crowd. That is all I have.
This weekend in Barwell is Lumberjack Festival. There will be a car show and next year presentation in the park. And the fire department has an all you can eat spaghetti dinner Friday night. That's my donation. That's their big celebration.
That's the fire department.
Yep, Sir Township.
I've got nothing, hit all my meetings, you guys heard enough from me already.
George?
I've just been going to my meetings, nothing major happening.
Jack?
It seems like the last couple of weeks I've had meeting after meeting, but I would like to comment on the ballot proposals in the state. As Laurie commented there, the one that went down didn't get enough signatures, but the big one in my mind is the one with local control that didn't get enough signatures either. That was the one to override the governor in the legislature, given the Public Utilities Commission the opportunity to override for the solar and the renewable energy. And I'd like to say one thing about that weather event that Dale talked about. It was about 3 miles north of me that I think it had picked up by that time, but it was around the college, had a bunch of trees down and that. It was, I have never seen rain like that. I'm telling you, in 21 minutes, I got over 2.1 inches of rain. I didn't get any wind damage, but it was like a fog. You couldn't even hardly see out the window. It was raining so hard. 2.1 inches. We had water laying everywhere. Soybeans are turning yellow. I mean, this weather events are something else. I don't know what to say about it, but things are changing, so. Anyway, that's it.
Thanks, Jack.
I have nothing.
We should discuss giving the county budget already. Public comment? No unfinished business. No new business.